Hey guys, it's me, Holly Madison. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am continuing the series reacting to Girls Next Door season 1 episode. I think it's Lucky 13 today. If you'd hit the like and subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. And let's get started. This episode is coming right after our episode where we go to New York. This episode is Chicago. We flew straight to Chicago from New York. And I haven't seen this episode since the year it came out, or the year I did commentary for it, which I think was probably like 2006 or something. So I haven't seen it since then, and I just have pretty good memories of this episode. I liked our Chicago trip. It was more fun than our New York trip. Not that the New York trip wasn't fun. Can you hear my dog sneezing in the background? He's being a weirdo on the floor. He's like wrestling with an invisible dog, it looks like. But it's very cute. Not that I didn't have fun in New York. I was always really grateful when we got to travel. But New York was really hectic. There was a lot of press. The press wasn't always so kind. And Chicago was a lot more relaxed. We did some press, but it was more like local press, not as high stakes. And I remember we got to go see the house Hef grew up in, which was really cute and really fun. So I have good memories from this trip, but let's see what else this episode brings back. I really want a peppermint mocha so bad, but I'm not gonna do it because of the sugar. I need something though. I've been tired lately. Showing us landing in Chicago in the middle of the night. We flew from New York at night. I think we stayed at the Peninsula in Chicago. It's a really beautiful old hotel. Not that I've stayed a ton of places in Chicago, but of the places I've stayed, it's my favorite. I've been back there since, and it's definitely my top pick. I haven't been to Chicago in a long time, but if I went back, that's where I'd stay. I was wearing these big moon boots, and I kind of love them. Like I wish, like if I still had the moon boots, I would probably wear them. They were very fun. So we're going to Hef's house first, and it was really fun to be able to see a very cute house. And you know what's interesting about this house? You used to be able to order houses from the Sears catalog back in the day. And I think that is so weird. There's 2 houses in the Silver Lake area, kind of like Los Feliz, Silver Lake in LA, and they're houses that Walt Disney and his brother used to own. They're some of the first houses he owned in LA. And they were also ordered from the Sears catalog. And I have so many questions. Like, once you ordered this house, so they sent you all the materials to build the house. And then what? Like, did people build these houses themselves? Like, was just everybody able to do that back then? Or did they hire somebody who knew how to do it? Because if I ordered a house off the Sears catalog and they sent me all the materials, I was supposed to build it, it probably wouldn't still be standing today. So I'm fascinated by this. The fact that there are houses that are still up and sturdy today that people built because they ordered them from the Sears catalog. It's so weird to me. And like, I need to know more about the whole process. I really like my outfit. I'm wearing an Argyle sweater and knee socks. This is the interview where I'm wearing the messy, unbrushed wig again. So there you go. In this interview with me right here in the background, you can see framed pictures of like me and Hef and me and the girls. But I don't think there were naturally just pictures of me sitting all over that room. I think Hef had one framed picture of me where I was like in costume to look like Jean Harlow. And the other pictures were like his ex-wife and just like random like weird stuff. So we were driving up to Hef's grade school, and it's giant. Like definitely compared to anywhere I grew up before. Like we had these tiny grade schools. And it's just this huge, like looks like at least a high school. Like it does not look like a grade school to me. We're on a walk and I'm wearing really high heels. And I'm sure I was dying at this point. Hef and his brother are talking about how when they were growing up in this neighborhood, like the streets were dirt and like wagons would go by, like collecting old rags and iron. It's just so crazy how different stuff was back then. And it's just crazy to even be talking about an era so long ago. All the old pictures and just this house, it reminds me of the movie The Christmas Story. Remember that? They have the house from the movie in Ohio. You can go visit it. I went there a couple years ago. Shows us going in and out of the house, but it felt, I mean, we were there for so much longer than it's showing. It doesn't show the whole house. It doesn't show like the kitchen, but the kitchen was very much like the kitchen in the movie A Christmas Story too, where it has like just the table in the middle of the kitchen. Oh my gosh, it's showing like the maintenance staff at the mansion just redoing everything, and they're putting new carpet down. And that was my idea, because the carpet on the stairways was so gross. It was like this old gold color that he'd had there from the 70s. And it was just stained from animals going to the bathroom on it for so many years. And it didn't go with the house. Like with a classic house like that, I feel like you need the wooden stairs, and then you need like a really classic runner going down the middle of it. So I like really lobbied to have that changed. I don't know why I felt like I needed to do that, but I'm glad I did. I didn't benefit from having him update the house at all, not at all. But you know, it was a lot like the Emperor's New Clothes with Hef and the mansion, because people would come up there all the time. And, you know, everybody only says positive things to his face, but so many people would talk, you know, behind his back or like on the internet or whatever, and just say, oh, the Playboy Mansion, it's so run down, it's so gross, you know, smells and stuff like that. So like wherever I could, where I thought it was like appropriate and, you know, could be done in a cost-effective way, I'd be like, hey, you should really like put hardwood floors here instead of carpets, or like, you should really switch out the carpets on the stairs, or maybe you should change the guest house up a little bit. Like, I was just trying to have his back and be a good friend. You know what I mean? I want somebody to tell me. Not that anybody has to change their house for anyone, but when you fancy yourself like the ultimate host and you're inviting all these people and having all these press events there, like you want your house to not look gross. So it shows us showing up to the Playboy office, and we're eating like fast food, because they would never schedule us lunch when we would go on these press tours, because Hef didn't eat lunch. So there was no lunch for us, and we're like dying and hangry halfway through. So we had to like stop at some random food stand and just grab whatever, and we're eating like our breakfast sandwiches. They're talking about Shel Silverstein, who's probably most famous for writing children's books. And somebody told me, and I hate to repeat this if it's not true, but Hef always said he hated, not he, but Shel hated kids, but wrote kids' books. And I hate to say that if it's not true. Like if it's not true, I feel bad, but that's what he would always say. And then there's a photo shoot going on, and it's Monica, who we just saw in New York. I think Monica like wasn't expecting us to show up, because she seems very like shy. It's interesting because when we stop by and take a picture with Monica and say hi to her during her shoot, she doesn't have a top on. And then it cuts to interviews with me and Kendra, and we're asked, like, what did you think? Like, how did you feel? And I said, I think Monica was like a little bit shocked to see us drop by in her Playmate or her Playboy pictorial. I don't know if it was a Playmate pictorial. I'm like, but for me, it was nothing. I just thought she looked great. And Kendra was like, I thought it was funny to like, look at Monica naked, ha ha. And it's just interesting that the questions we were being asked were like, how was it for you to walk in on somebody else's naked shoot? Or like, what did you think? And it's never about like the person who's naked, you know what I mean? And their comfort zone. It's just interesting. We drive by this hotel, and Hef's like, I dated a girl who worked in the hotel there. She was a showgirl. And then he says her full name. And I just think, how random would that be if you dated somebody like 50 years ago, and then a show comes on TV and maybe like your grandkids are watching it and you get name dropped? Like, how weird. We went to go eat at this restaurant called Japanese, and it was the first time I'd ever been served like a hot rock that you cook your meat on. And I thought that was so cool. And I remember this scene now that I'm seeing it, because I've seen people post it on TikTok. And there's like a group of women at a table, and Hef goes and says hi to them. And it's kind of set up to look a little awkward, like he's ditching us to like go pick up on other girls. And in real life, like I didn't feel threatened by it or anything, because I knew he wasn't like looking for other girls at that point in time. But the really awkward thing about it that I don't like, and I'm so awkward in this interview, and I'm awkward just in the shots at the restaurant, is you're in this relationship that's really toxic and obviously toxic. And when you're doing the show, it's like you're always kind of set up to be tested and poked, and like, how is she gonna react? And like, how is she gonna react if he goes and flirts with somebody? And it's not that I felt weird or threatened by it in real life, but then you're in the interview seat after the fact, and they're asking you questions and like, oh, so how did you feel when he went over there? And it's just like, It's so awkward, and like one of the reasons I was really uncomfortable with this show in the beginning is it just kind of felt like anything I could have been insecure about, whether it was something in reality that I was insecure about or something I was insecure about because of the way I felt people perceived me or the situation, it was like always called out, you know? There's the hot rock. So this is the scene where there's like 4 women across the way. And I think this is the part where I say I'm a clone, because I'm obviously joking, but I swear like there's conspiracy theorists who will like hit me up or talk about it online, and like they say I'm actually a clone. Like I'm clearly joking, but there's people out there who think I'm a clone. I like the ladies he goes over and talks to. I just like what they say and like how quippy they are. We're going to go do a radio interview, and nothing against the host or the guy, but I just know now after the fact, the whole reason we went to go do that interview is because the producer of the show is friends with that guy. And there were all kinds of things woven into this show, and even like my spin-off show after that I stupidly thought I might have some control over, that's always like planted things that like the producer wanted to promote that really have nothing to do with anything that's going on. Okay, so they're having us read off the news. And I'm like, why are we recording this? Why are we doing this? But now I know they're setting us up to look stupid. I know what they're doing. Like they want us to mess up. They want us to look like stupid bimbos who can't read the news. So I just finished reading off mine and it went well. Let's see what else happens. Okay, I don't like this. And some of you might be surprised to hear me say I don't like this. But one of the people who's reading off the news is kind of stumbling over her words a little bit, and I just don't like how this is set up. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, why are they having us read the news, and why are they filming this? This is stupid. And the next thing I think is, oh, because they think we're idiots who can't read the news. And I think they went in a specific order because they thought they were going to go like most articulate to least articulate or something. And I don't like that. I don't think it's nice. I think it's messed up. And some of you might be surprised to hear me say that, because there are times when I've complained about other people being like frustratingly ditzy or whatever. And it's not really so much about that person being ditzy. It's about, I was in a situation that was very controlled, and then sometimes somebody comes along and they're rewarded for being that way. I'm trying not to like say words that sound mean or anything, but still like express the situation or where I was coming from. Yeah, so that was annoying. But I also don't like what they're doing here. Like I don't like how they're making fun of someone. So I'm just like, yuck. And then everybody's like cheering and acting like it's so great because she finished reading a couple of paragraphs. And it's just so weird to me. I hate this interview. I have the 40-year-old newscaster hair, which I hated. Like when my hair got blown out and it was kind of a bubble, I hated that. I say in the interview, because they're checking back with the staff who are watching the dogs, I'm like, if anything ever happened to my dogs, but in case you don't know, like I'm clearly joking. I had no power regarding like who stayed or who went as far as staff. And like, I know everybody's only giving them the best care. So I hope nobody took that seriously. I wouldn't think anyone would take it seriously, but honestly, sometimes I have to question, because there's so many times on this show where I'm obviously joking and I'll get hit up by people on the internet who will pick apart like one thing I said where I was joking and they think I'm dead serious. And I'm like, nuance, people. Oh, they just showed Littlefoot again, the black dog. This is another episode where the things we're doing are cut out of order. You'll see us switching back and forth into different outfits. Like you'll see my day 1 outfit and then my day 2 outfit. And then all of a sudden I'm in my day 1 outfit again and then my day 2 outfit. So just proof that it's not all 100% real. We drove by the old Playboy mansion, which had been turned into condos. It's a really nice big mansion in a nice area of town. And we actually saw a rabbit in the front yard, which was really funny and random. Seeing pictures of the old Playboy mansion, I thought it looked so much more interesting than his newer Playboy mansion, because they had like this underground pool, and then they had a bar, which was like on the side of the pool, and there was like a glass wall in between it, and like a fireman's pole that like went between levels, and it just looked like a lot more fun. And Like they had just fun, interesting things put in there. So when Hef got rid of the Playboy Mansion in Chicago, he donated it to the Art Institute of Chicago, and they used it as dorms. And then the school sold it and it got turned into condos. And I always thought that was interesting because I don't know anything about real estate law in Illinois, but I feel like it's weird to donate your property to a school and then they get to sell it for a bunch of money. Like I know there's clauses, you can do that in other states where you can donate it, but like if they want to sell it, like it reverts back. So I just thought that was interesting, and I don't know why it was like that. I'm wearing a white flapper dress in this scene where we're out at a nightclub, and it was actually my high school prom dress. Not prom, but they had another dance in the winter called Winter Ball. I only went to those dances when I was a senior, and my mom made this dress for me, and I'm wearing it again. Oh, the women from the Japanese the night before were at the nightclub. I'd forgotten that they showed up there too. I had this inexpensive white trench coat I was wearing there, and it's so cute. Like, I wish I still had it. What happened to that? Oh, my coffee's here. I feel like I probably spilled something on it. Like I probably got a coffee stain or something. Oh, here's me just without makeup on the plane. I do a lot of videos where I start off without makeup on my YouTube, but you know, if you want to see, check out this episode. It's showing all the dogs jumping all over us as we get home, and it's showing the staircase, which hasn't had the carpet runner put on it yet. It's just polished wood, and it already is a huge improvement. I don't know why I thought it was my thing to want to like get rid of the gross carpet or like clean that place up at all. I just felt like I was making a somewhat positive contribution by trying to get that stuff going. Like I think when haters try to like come at me, I don't know, they like think I'm some weird schemer that like had some plan to like steal a bunch of money from Hef or something like that. And it's not true. And in fact, like I feel like the whole time I was there, like I had his back, and I was always, you know, trying to get involved in ways that I thought were positive. And even if it was dumb stuff, like you really need to change this carpet. It's embarrassing. That sounds mean, but it's like, wouldn't you want people to tell you too? Like if you had the means to like get new carpet, but you were sticking with this nasty like pee stained carpet, and everybody who came over to your house was like not saying to your face, but behind your back, they're like, ugh, your carpet's so gross. Like, wouldn't you want somebody to tell you? Be that friend. Okay, so takeaways. I think my favorite thing about the episode was just being reminded of the fun parts of the Chicago trip. I really had fun when we went. I had a great time seeing Hef's house. I thought that was really interesting. And I loved seeing some of the outfits I had, like the cute white coat and my prom dress. You can probably already tell like what my negative thing is. I think the worst thing about this episode is the scene where we're at the radio show and they have us each reading off news copy, because it was, first of all, it's so unnecessary to the show. Like we didn't need that scene. Like sometimes I'll watch a show and I'll complain about something, or I won't like how I was portrayed, or I won't like a piece of drama. But then part of me is like, well, the show needs some kind of conflict. Like you have to play along a little bit to make it a good show. But this scene where we're reading off the news was completely irrelevant to anything. It didn't make it a good show. It was strictly set up to like make one person look dumb. Like, and I just think it was totally unnecessary and rude, and I don't like that they did that. And, you know, people are different. Like not everybody's at the same level of being articulate or being able to sight read, or you know, that's a skill. Like for me, I'd been taking hosting classes. Like when I was new to LA, before I was at the mansion, I was taking acting classes and hosting classes, and that helps with that kind of stuff. And other people don't necessarily have that experience, or other people might be really good at other things or really smart about certain things, but they're not as book smart. And to set up a scene where it basically is like, oh, we're gonna set it up so everybody's laughing at this person because they can't get through, you know, a 2-paragraph read without stumbling over it. So we're gonna make it look like they can't read. Like I think that's really messed up. And it was always a weird dynamic with that situation too, because they would make fun of that kind of thing on the show. And I would hear like Hef and the producer talk behind her back and like make fun of that kind of thing behind her back. But then when it was like the three of us girls together with Hef, it was like that kind of behavior I don't know if I should call it behavior, but like those kind of traits were always like rewarded because it fit into like that stereotype. And I just think the whole way that was treated was gross from all sides. And it was just really messed up because I feel like when it was Hef and the three of us girls together and she was being rewarded for those kind of traits, it wasn't even so much about like rewarding her. It was almost more about like negating anything that Bridget and I were proud of about ourselves. You know what I mean? It was like the game he used to play when he would pit people against each other, which he used to do with me too when I was new. I just wasn't really as aware of it because I was the recipient of it because I was the new one. But then when another person comes along and they're the new one and they're kind of like hyped up and put on this pedestal and, oh, isn't she cute for saying these things? Or, you know, I felt like it wasn't so much done to like make her feel good. It was done to like make Bridget and I feel like anything we valued about ourselves or our personalities didn't matter anymore and it wasn't good. And isn't it so cute and funny when she says something that's like not accurate or really naive or something like that and it's like hyped up? I felt like that was to make Bridget and I feel bad. Does that make sense? Because Bridget and I were always very into reading and taking classes and talking about things that interested us. And I felt like it was to cut us down and it was a really toxic environment. You know what I mean? But those same things that were like hyped up in front of me and Bridget, like I would sometimes overhear conversations between like Hef and the producer of the show where they would talk about that person and those traits, but like totally ripping her down and like making fun of her. And then there would be like this scene on the show. And I don't think that's cool. And I think it's really gross and weird that that was used that way. So yeah, that was my least favorite part of that episode. Probably a million things from that trip to Chicago you could have put in those 2 minutes that weren't that. Yeah, so I will see you guys next time. I think the next episode is Bridget's murder mystery birthday party. So I will see you then. Bye.